welcome back to my channel. Sunny day today in Shanghai. For us in Stack and Tilt, you know, we work in a system. Everything has to be systematic. So we divide the golf swing in 10 positions. Those positions will help us to identify how our body is positioned at any time, in time and space during a golf swing, as well as our golf club. So it makes us easier to identify weaknesses, but it also helps us to compare our golf swing or our students' golf swing with other golf swings in a certain moment in time and space during a golf swing. Okay, let's talk about P1. P1 is what you probably all know as address position. It is when, obviously, we stay in front of the ball. There is not a specific way how you have to address your ball. In one of our last videos, we were talking about ball position, so actually it doesn't matter so much where your ball is positioned. First of all, depending on what kind of shot you want to do, what kind of club you have in your hand. So this can go to a B, from a B0 to a B8, 9. You probably will not play so often, but obviously we are slightly bent forward. We're in a tilted angle. We play golf in a tilted angle. Our knees are slightly bent or not. But at the end, it is our position, how we address the ball before our golf clubs start traveling back. So P2 is when our golf club is parallel to the ground. Here it's the same. I don't want to talk today about what is a ideal P2, because that doesn't exist. All of those positions, truly there are some similarities, but it doesn't matter so much. P2 for us is just the moment where the club is parallel to the ground. This would be from the front view, and from the back view, this would be where the club is parallel to the ground. Now, so here we could already start seeing how our body has moved, how our wrists have moved, all our power accumulators, how they have started moving. That will be the P2 when the club is parallel to the ground. So P3 is when our left arm is parallel to the ground. I always talk for right-handers. Obviously, for a left-hander, it would be the right arm parallel to the ground. Left arm parallel to the ground. Now, definitely at P3, we will definitely see how our second accumulator has loaded, our third accumulator has loaded, which will put my club in the plane. My first accumulator has loaded. But basically, a P3, or where we would stop the video, or where we would have a check, or that checkpoint, is when the left arm is parallel to the ground from the front and from the back. This would be our P3. P4. P4 is the highest point in our backswing. P4 in certain shots can come before P3, but generally a P4 obviously is a little bit higher than a P3. We have different highs, okay, or it also can only just be a P3 or a fraction more than a P3. It is just the frame, or the frame where the club reached the highest point, and where it starts moving towards the ball, or it starts moving towards our P5. It's the same for us. It is just a point, a moment in time and space where we measure how is everything set up at this specific moment, and it is also helpful for us because we can compare it to other golfers. So showing that, well, certain golfers have a little bit of shorter backswing while others have a bigger one. or a higher P4. P5. Well, P5 is when our left arm is parallel again to the ground, but this time in what we would call our downward swing. However, I would not like to talk so much about details, but obviously in a P5 is where we will see that our body has started flexing into the ground again after the extension. It started flexing into the ground again. It's definitely P5 would definitely be a point where we look at that, if there has been flexion or there only has been extension. But it is the moment where the left arm is parallel to the ground. Parallel to the ground. P6 is, which you probably all could guess, when the club is parallel to the ground again. Okay, when our club parallel to the ground. It's the last posture before impact. What I use P6 the most first is to see how the club face is positioned, and the second I use P6 the most is to see where my hands are positioned at P6. Players which have their hands at P6 almost over their leg are those who have kept that second accumulator loaded the most, and one can see from the distance from those hands to the leg how much the second accumulator has been released. So all those players with a P6 with the hands so far away from the leg means that they have already almost completely released the second accumulator. P7, impact, or the moment of truth, how some call it. P7, obviously what we want is the handle in front of the club head, the handle in front of the ball. We would like, if possible, a flat wrist. We would like our right hand flying wedge. We would like to see how our lower hop has traveled forward at P7. And all those points I just mentioned, these are what we call similarities. These are similarities which you will find in every good golfer. And one will not find any great golfer impacting the ball with the left wrist extension, with the lower hop moved forward, with the force accumulator bent. So these are all signs of golfers who have poor impacts. Golfers with solid impacts, as I said, lower hop forward, handle forward, straight left arm, right hand flying wedge for a P7. So next we come to P8, but I will also talk about P9 because sometimes what I would explain to you now as a P9 can actually be a P8 because it is what happened first. So P8 would be when the shaft, the club is parallel to the ground, when the club is parallel to the ground, okay? And P9 would be when the right arm is parallel to the ground. But sometimes certain players or certain kind of shots, what can happen actually is that my right arm is parallel to the ground before my shaft is parallel to the ground. So in this scenario, here the P8 would be at the moment where my right arm is parallel to the ground, and the P9 would be when my club is parallel to the ground. I do use P8 especially to see how how the left wrist is reacting after P7. But for me, a great checkpoint always is P9, the moment where the right arm is parallel to the ground. This is for me always, it's a great checkpoint. It's a great checkpoint to see how the body has turned till an extent, how are the wrists positioned, which will help me or show my student or explain my student the outcome of the ball depending on the position of his wrists at P9. Well, and then we have P10. P10 is what you know as the finish. This is where my golf club finally stops, and where am I positioned when my swing has finished. P10 for me is not too relevant. Usually I ask my students to stop at, let's say, something P9.5, something in between. It is tremendously important for me to make, especially my younger students, to understand that golf club, that we are moving or hitting the ball by moving forward, by throwing the club forward. So for me, that P9.5, where they manage to stay balanced, where they manage to stay turned, tilted and extended, where they manage to control the wrists. For me, this is probably the most important position I am working on with them during our training sessions. P10 at the end is just taking the speed out of the club, okay? And for me personally, where the club is positioned at P10, if we have a nice P9.5, I honestly do not care so much, okay? So now you have a little bit more knowledge about our system. All my students, even the little ones, are aware about this. It makes the coaching way much easier. Sometimes I'm not present and my students send me some videos, so the explanations are pretty quick because we just talk about different positions, whatever, at P6, at P1 or at P8 or P9, wherever I would like to have some changes. So it makes it much easier for my students to practice and actually get directly to the point. So I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.